Hi friends, welcome to our July 2026 energy update. That was so strange. I almost said 2025 and recently I keep in my head saying 2027 and 2028. There's so much going on timeline wise, but we're going to drop into what we need to know for this month leading into this July. I will tell you this is going to be a pivotal month, an explosive month. There is a lot of intensity around July and August, so we're just going to get into it. And I'll also remind you that each month I do an activation event. So we just did our July 2026 energy activations for the month, which is an online group healing and activation event. So I send a hi to everybody. We clear out things that no longer serve us. We activate all of the new things. And I love doing this as a monthly check-in point for everybody to come together to get your field live, cleared, and to get the specific energy activations that will support us this month. So you get a little bit of an update embedded in that just because there are clearly themes that happen that come through in those events, but it's really to help tune you up specifically for this month. So if you weren't able to attend, you can still catch the replay. It's just as powerful on replay. You sit there, you lean back, and you'll have the energy work done. We'll put the link for that below if you want to access the July activations, which what I will say is being on top of your frequency game this month and August is going to be very important. That is the overarching thing. So as we get into it, July in terms of numerology is an 8, which is all about abundance in every which way, whether that's financial or it's in relationships, it's in opportunities. It's a rich month. There's a lot of texture going on. There's a lot going on. And when I tap into the fields, which I've already started tapping in, and I'll be translating what we see as I start to read the field around this. But this morning when I sat with it, July is so yellow. I'm wondering if June was too. I don't remember. I just am so channeling here. I black out of what else I said before. But it's really yellow, and that energy is carrying through August as well. And I might have shared this in other places. Every time I say something about July 2026, I immediately see the same imagery, and it shows up in different ways. And it is the splitting of the earth. And I think about that scene in Indiana Jones when the earth splits. I think about Stranger Things when the earth split in half. That is the visual. And there are different textures to that. One, it's this energy of things getting shaken up, things changing. It's very much the Tower card in tarot. But the other thing that I think is really interesting about the imagery that I'm shown, it's not just about things getting shaken up, it's about things breaking apart. And they're really highlighting these parts of these scenes in these different movies and shows. I feel like that's such a common theme that comes up, where the ground splits and you look at who is on the other side of the split, and there's this moment of, whoa, maybe the person I'm in love with or my best friend or my family member is on the other side of the split, and how would I get to you? And they're showing that because this month is gonna ask us, well, I wouldn't even say ask, it's just gonna open the space for us to be a lot bolder. There's a big theme around claiming what you want, going for it, cutting out the extras, and not feeling guilty or shameful for being really precise and being really bold about what you want to go for and the opportunities you want to take. This month will bring in some really spectacular opportunities. It will bring in opportunities for financial gain that will be really helpful in your career, but it's a really interesting energy. It feels very fast and it feels very explosive. And it's kind of like something big landing, like a meteor landing. And when the meteor lands, think about the impact that has on the ground around it and that ripple out effect of how it affects everything around it. It's that kind of energy to the opportunity that's landing in for you. And it can have this bigger ripple out effect. But what they're highlighting is there's this really important piece of the month, which is fortifying your energy, taking extra time to have your practices to come into your heart, to come into your desires, And there's this introspective aspect of starting to recognize all of the places where you let other people's assumptions or projections or different attachments and responsibilities, all of these little frills in the field get in the way of you really letting yourself receive and go for and own and claim the things that you really want. So I would really take some extra time this month to get quiet about, if you could distill down in terms of all of your heart wants right now, like what's the biggest thing on your heart? What is the one thing that you would like to call in? Get really clear on that. There is this big theme of real radical honesty with yourself, and you're going to see things about yourself that you weren't before. You're going to see angles of yourself where you kept not letting it in, or you kept adjusting yourself, compromising in really, really, really subtle ways. This does not feel like these extreme ways. I feel like you've already got that down. But it's these really subtle ways where sometimes we can almost delude ourselves into thinking that where we're headed is our greatest want and desire. But when we get really clear and we sit with ourselves and we go deeper within ourselves, there's something else that pops up. I do feel this element of surprise. I feel this element of surprise because for some people it's going to be career related. For some people it's going to be love related. For some people it's going to be relationship related. But it feels like this is literally the whole image. That is the entire transmission of the month. Meteor lands, the thing that you want. Earth breaks because of it. And you are surprised at who's on the other side of the split. And that just kind of goes away. There's such a big rearranging of timelines we've talked about a lot recently. And what I'll tell you is really the only block we ever have is our attachments. And we all have attachments. I think that's part of our humanness. And I don't think it's a bad thing to care about people, but it is really the only thing that's blocking us, because when we aren't attached to anything, things can just move. But it's these really subtle things we're holding on to. And I know people always think that's about a key relationship, and it can be. This actually feels so much more subtle. It feels like attachments to the ways that you've done things before, attachments to your routines that you're really comfortable with, attachments to what worked before, attachments to mindsets around things that you don't even realize. It's all of these really subtle energetic things that are really going to get highlighted this month. But I feel like when that meteor hits and when you get that opportunity, it's this huge aha moment about, wow, here I am. And they want you to pay attention to your body, because it's like this part of you turns online. You want to pay attention to what comes forward, where you turn online and you realize, whoa, I didn't even realize that this made me feel alive. And I actually really want this. This is really connected to taking your opportunities, social energy, traveling, going to different parties. You might get something that feels kind of fringe, like an invite to something that maybe isn't a super close friend, and you're kind of on the fence about it. You should go. Just go to the different things. It's going to allow the energy to move, and it's going to allow a lot of perspective shifts to come into play that you weren't necessarily open to before. But there's this thing within us that's trying to come online. And what they're saying is the big thing that you have been manifesting, you don't even realize what you're manifesting. You don't even realize what it is, and it's going to arrive, and it might surprise you, but it's going to feel like a really good surprise. And then on the other side of the good surprise, it's like, oh shit, how is this going to affect everybody else around me, right? So think about it like you get this job opportunity and you never were trying to get this type of job, and it comes your way and you think, holy crap, this would be a dream job. I would love this. And you get all excited and you feel giddy and you're getting inspired. And then you turn to your spouse and your spouse is like, well, we can't move. What about the kids? And what about my career? And what about this? And how is that going to impact our daily schedule? And it's this, whoa, interesting. That friction is so juicy. It's that meme that's ever on social media, the sexual tension between where I am now, where I'm heading. That friction is the juicy stuff. That's where you drop into your own practice, into your heart, into your desires, and you start to find a new way of doing things. You start to find a new way of relating to things, so it doesn't have to be so this or that. Because right when you find that moment where you are relating to life, like, if I take this, then that has to happen, and I don't like this, or I choose this option, but then I lose that. This is where you're in the duality, and this is where you get to change your perspective. This is where you get to raise your consciousness. That is the juicy stuff. When you get in the middle of that, and when you break that apart and you raise your consciousness around it, and you see the third option, you see the fourth option, you see the fifth option, you live in the and instead of the or, that's when your vibration really changes. And that's how you are going to collapse a lot of time and bring a lot of abundance your way. So this is going to be a really big expansion point for you, an opportunity to learn healing, not through hardship and difficulty, but an opportunity to learn healing and growth and expansion through an inner friction point, an inner challenge point, is what they're saying, through a point of tension. And when you shift this, you start to notice all of these times we hit these points of tension throughout our days that we don't even think about. We don't even think about what we're thinking about. We don't even think about what we're feeling. When you start to break that apart and shift that in one place, you start to notice all of the other times during the day, and this is a stressor on the body all the time, where you contract, where you collapse, where you shift into either or instead of the and, where you shift into scarcity instead of abundance. And that is where you're really going to open up a lot of life. There is just this giant, I'm just saying, a parting of the seas when you figure this out. This is cracking the matrix code. The way you crack the matrix code when it comes to money starts with the energetic understanding of scarcity and abundance. And that isn't just about money. In fact, it's much easier to see how it's showing up in terms of life choices, in terms of relationships, how we view those things. You find all of those ways that you treat things in this transactional way. You treat things from a place of fear, of scarcity, and you start to peel that apart. When you figure it out somewhere else in your life, then it's easy to see money, and this is how you actually crack that energetic code. So this feels very big. It feels very expansive. I'm going to go in another direction here because they're showing me a lot around contact. They keep saying open contact. There's going to be a lot more open contact from our galactic friends out there. If you're open to that, then set the intention to communicate with beings only of the highest divine light and love. And you can ask to have an experience that is loving, that you're comfortable with, where maybe you see a UFO, or you can meditate and connect to your star family. You can do that if you want, and you don't have to, but there is a huge opening for contact. And they're saying especially toward the end of July, going through Lionsgate until about the 14th. When does that start? July 22nd until the 14th. There's just this huge open portal, a lot of open contact, a lot of actually coming down, which happens all the time, but not everybody talks about it and not everybody sees it. But you have to understand that disclosure and open contact is going to really happen on a person by person basis. I know everybody wants it to be like out of a movie where at the same time a gazillion UFOs come down and they're laughing and they're saying, maybe it will come to that, but it could look like that on the screen. It could look like that on the news. But far before that, it's going to be like a ton of UFOs coming down into open spaces and having individual contact experiences with small groups of people who are spiritually mature enough and responsible enough to actually receive it, because they're trying to ground in this frequency on the planet. And there's just really a lot of information and technology that they want to share. And also there's a lot of frequencies they're trying to seed in to recalibrate our bodies. In particular, this is a whole other topic, but for example, a lot of times energetically, something I have to do with clients, when you have more of a cosmic body architecture, there are certain bacterial strains that need to be energetically seeded into someone's gut to calm it down that aren't yet on Earth. And one of the things they're saying they're doing is actually helping some of that get into the Earth planet, into the soil. Interesting, that would be helpful. And they're also pointing out, don't overthink when you're called to certain foods, because it's a way that there are certain frequencies that can recalibrate your body, can actually get into your system. So that's one of the things that they are bringing up as well. What else do you want to, we have open contact, we have this explosion, we have this tectonic plate shift, we have this cracking open, tower moment, breaking open, fortifying you, strengthening you, boldness. They kept saying behemoth tiger. There's this tiger that I'm seeing, and it's not a normal tiger. It's not orange and black. It's red and black, and it has these emerald green eyes. And I mean, it's, whoa, like, whew. It's this strength within us. It's this actually more divine, feminine, feisty, powerful strength that's a little bit more flexible than it is rigid, that wants to turn on in everyone. Remember, divine feminine has nothing to do with sex or gender or any of that. These are frequencies that live in all of us. It is that more creative, intuitive part of all of us. And that is a spirit animal that you can work with. That is a frequency that's trying to come in, but they're really trying to get us to unravel these last places where we are holding back our power. And I feel this is a really big time. That's interesting because I just recorded something on power, for us to break apart our relationship with the word power. And this will be a month where you get an opportunity to live your power, to show your power, to reveal your power. And you don't always realize the blocks you have to revealing that or to living that out until you have an opportunity to fully express it. That is a good expansion point. Now, the thing that comes with this is there will be another round, although it doesn't feel as like intimate as it did earlier this year. That felt a lot more intimate. Feels like another round of just relationships breaking apart. Like, I think about when I moved and I had to break up with my housekeeper, you know, who's been working with me for 3 years. That was really sad, but it was just kind of like, I'm moving. These people who are maybe a couple of degrees removed, but also they just keep bring up hard conversations that you can't run from. And I would say July is going to be a month where if there is a hard conversation you haven't yet had, you are going to be pushed to have that conversation. And you bring in that very specific tiger energy, that very specific present and intuitive, but very flexible and very much, I'm going to speak right into the heart of this, right into the truth of this. I'm not going to do that in this really aggressive masculine way, but I'm going to come in with this really piercing, this is what hasn't been said, this is what I need to tell you, asking the direct questions. There's a really big CTA around directness and speaking directly into things and getting right in the middle of it, because that is where we feel our power. Every time we are beating around the bush or sidestepping, we are not living our power. And that is what wants to get turned on for us this month. This feels like this is a very intense month. It's very exciting. A lot is going to change. A lot of people's lives are going to change. There is going to be that timeline jump by the end of July, and moving into August and Lionsgate, it feels very much like by that point, the question will become, how am I going to calibrate into the version of myself that I'm in now? They're saying, like, how do I fit in the shoes that I just got on my feet? Like, I got these new shoes and they're a little too big. How do I grow into them? That is the energy of, it's a very random example. Maybe someone got new shoes, but that's a very, so funny. That is the question we're going to be in going to Lionsgate, not this, what's my next activation? What's my next step? It's, wow, it's right here. I didn't think I was going to do it this way, or I have this opportunity. I've got it. And how do I embody that this is me? It reminds me of Harry wearing his Hogwarts robes for the first time. It's kind of like, I need to grow into this. Okay, I have my wizard robes on, but am I a wizard? I don't really know yet, but I'm at Hogwarts and I have my robes on, but I need to just complete that vibrational shift, because it's going to be a big change. So let me pull some cards about what else we need to know. Wow. Really jumping out at me. 2026. I don't know why you want to say 2027. Restore and replenish. Focus on the light. What you want wants you. It's interesting because I pulled a couple of these, I pulled actually all of these cards earlier this week, despite just shuffling them again, which means this is clearly a strong message. Restore and replenish. This is, I will tell you, it's so crucial. They're saying, can you have 30 minutes to an hour in the evening to kind of reflect and recover and really come into your thoughts and your heart space. Having that time to journal. This is a good time to do your CTC. Meditations is going to be really important to fortify you through everything shaking around outside you. Because if you don't have that time, you're going to feel extremely destabilized. And you're going to feel very confused about what you actually want versus what other people want. You have to have that time to replenish, to restore yourself. And I feel like if you have that time, you're going to feel totally fine. Otherwise, I feel like you're going to get dragged around. You can't get dragged around. You have to be driving the chariot, not dragged by it. Focus on the light. It doesn't matter what else is going on outside of you. I'm only focusing on my vision. And this goes very much hand in hand with this and what you wants you, because it's coming for you. Trust me, it's coming for you. It's been trying to, but it's every time that we shift our focus to what we don't want or to what's not working or to what's in the way that we start to energize something else. It is trying to come to you and it's going to land. Sometimes there's so much tension, there's so much pressure, and there's so much chaos right before the biggest thing is going to happen. And so no matter who is doubting you, what is trying to bump up against you and tell you it's not going to work for you, whatever, you need to focus on your desires and you need to focus on your heart desires. This is so much about focusing on your mission. And I think there's a real reorientation right now around where have we kind of gotten off track, and we're spending too much time thinking about, well, what's going to make me money and what's going to get more views. And I get it. It's a slippery slope. But when you take a step back and you recalibrate into, how is the divine trying to move through me? How is the divine trying to work through me? What is my heart's mission? How can I actually give light to this planet? And if I just go all in on that, and if I feel my genuine desire to give this planet so much love and so much light, and I focus on that, that's where things will grow. And so it's really asking you to realign with that heart mission and that heart-centered why. We talk about that a lot, coming back to your why. Wow. I'm so excited to see what happens. Adventure. Dare to do things differently. Manifest your travel dreams. Move to a new location. Like I said, a lot of movement. I feel a lot of travel, and a lot of the right people that you're going to meet it's going to happen while you're traveling, while you're on the move, while you're in a new opportunity. Polarity. Integrate your shadow side. There can be no light without the dark. Understand the law of polarity. This other side of you wants to be seen. The dark feminine, the dark masculine. What is that sacred power within you that you haven't actually let yourself unleash because you're trying to keep it all put together, tight and put together? Sometimes you just got to let loose and let your frequency be felt. Growth. Seek out a mentor or a guide. Take baby steps as you grow. Be willing to learn from others. It will flow to you. It will flow to you. People have asked me so many times how I found mentors and guidance. And I said, I've never looked. It just kind of fell into my lap. I was just living my life, following my synchronicities, and I would literally just bump into somebody, or somebody would bring me somewhere and I'd meet someone. I've never gone looking. Magic. Make a wish. Believe in miracles. Magic surrounds you. This is that big miracle that I'm telling you is going to land this month. It gets me so excited. It's like, you don't even know what it's going to be. You think you know, but you don't even know what it's going to be. The hidden cove, secrets, unknown, discovery. What is that deeper part of you, that deeper desire? It's like finding out that your house has a basement, and the basement is the coolest secret library, game room, adventure experience. And you didn't even know it was there. Didn't even know it was there. You're going to find that out about yourself. You didn't even know that you had a cool basement. The primordial sea, origin, innovation, potential. You know, I feel there is a really big theme about going into other lifetimes and going back into our childhood right now and remembering these aspects of us, because there have always been seeds. They just haven't necessarily fully opened. This goes with this card, the Explorer. Personal journey, exploration, curiosity. There is this big hero's journey. I've been talking about this with a lot of my clients, this big hero's journey that people are going on right now of really stepping into their highest selves. And this morning I was talking to a client who was saying, you know, when this all first came in, I was not heeding the call. I was not taking the call. And then we had our session and things shifted. And now I said yes to this whole journey. And I said yes to this call, and all of this stuff is unfolding. And I say that because I feel like there's this moment where we have to say, yes, I accept the journey. I accept the call for the journey. I think so often people don't want to accept the journey or the expansion or that hero's growth. And with this client, and I'll say this here because it's just coming through, the recommendation for him was to watch Hercules and watch that journey and watch his initial resistance, and then watch how he grows and how he becomes. I think so often in the spirituality space, people just want the activation. They just want the end result. But we have to say yes, not just to, I want to manifest this, but am I willing to go on this hero's journey and learn from different mentors and travel metaphorically or literally and meet different types of people and get out of my comfort zone and build new muscles in every way possible? Are you willing to say yes to that journey? Because when you say yes, the big manifestation is going to come in, because I'm telling you, this big manifestation, it's going to push you. It's going to push your skill set. Whatever you feel like your strongest skill set is, it's going to ask of you to grow that. And I know people get so tired of growth. They're like, I don't want to learn anything else. Well, too bad. You incarnated here. So that is what makes it fun. And that's where the magic really is. High Priestess, Nine of Pentacles, Page of Wands, Five of Pentacles, Three of Wands, Death, and Knight of Cups. This is breaking down everything that you used to think you needed for validation, for safety, for stability. It's breaking it down. You might feel worse before you feel better. This is, can I really get to the depths, the truth of my intuition and where that is different from my 3D reality, and see where I am holding on to the things that I think make me stable and successful and validated. But really, it's not where I meant to head. Maybe this bigger place that you're meant to head and this bigger mission that you have, it's not the thing that you spent so much time building or getting comfortable with. It's this part of you has to die. A lot of stuff has to die. It is literally the death of a timeline, I'm telling you. It's the death of a timeline, and a lot of people are going to split off. On the other side of this is emotional fulfillment. This is something that actually lights up your heart, because what's getting rearranged right now is all of the places where we've done something that's kind of close, but it's not exactly what is our mission and our purpose and super soul aligned. Like, you can like something and enjoy something, but when it's not your heart's mission, at a certain point, the universe just pushes you off the path and says, I don't care how long you spent building this. I don't care how great you are at it. I don't care if you are world famous for this thing and you're at the end of your career. If this wasn't your mission, we're pushing you somewhere else and you've got to start over and be a beginner. But I really do feel like there's this whole collection of people and ideas and routines that go along with this version of you that are just gonna fade away. And I don't know why this is an example coming in, but I'm seeing this visual of somebody who has this kind of just normal life, and then all of a sudden they become a news anchor, and they're working crazy hours, and they're always kind of on call, and now they have to get ready for hair and makeup, and they have to plan all these stories, and they're up late, or they're awake late, and then they get up really early, and they have to get help with this, and they have to eat totally different foods, and it just shakes up their whole routine. Like, that is a total timeline split. And then suddenly everybody they hang out with before, they never see anymore, because they just hang out with all the people at the news station. And I don't really know, that's probably just because I watched Disclosure Day, and here we are. But I'm actually thinking of somebody I know. Let's see what the meteor brings in. This will be an abundant, explosive, exciting, strap in, buckle up kind of month. If you strap in and buckle up, you'll be fine on the bumpy road. And it will actually feel more like a Disneyland ride than it will a scary adventure. And that is my advice for you. Let me know how you're feeling going into this month. Let me know what lands. Let me know what pops for you. What are your intentions? What are you feeling already happening? A lot of you will already be feeling some of this coming in. You might have already gotten some of the glimmers of what might be dropping. So let me know. I always love to hear from you, and share this with a friend if you think this would help them out this month. That is going to be it for today's energy update. I'm wishing you the most magical July, and I will chat with you again next time.